times like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want you to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart to slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the live. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my Streamlabs going here. I was like, normally it runs fine, but how are you guys doing? Oh, there are Streamlabs, a little slow in the house. I hope you guys are having a Sunday fun day. Didn't do a live over the weekend, too busy. But I thought I'd do one today after work. So thank you guys for being here. And then Charmaine, if you're watching right now, I thought you said you were too busy today, but I seen you do a live. So for 3:30, just saying. And so now I'm making mine for 3 instead of 3:15 because Charmaine has a live scheduled. She's had some relatives over or whatever, but she literally told me that she's been really busy and she'll catch up with me later. I think she means during her live. I'm just teasing, by the way. Well, she does have a live at 3:30. So you guys can split your attention. Hi, Annabelle. How are you? Hi, Lynn. Thanks for being here. Pinky's in the house. Hi, Sunny Mods and chat. Hey, Grow Wolf. How are you? Justice for Lily and Jack. That's what it's all about. Hi, Tambourine. TJ Z Mom's in the house. Truth and Justice for Lily and Jack. Absolutely. Marie Antoinette. Hello. Snarky Pants is in the house. Carla. And then Pinky saying hi. And Pinky thought she was a member. She said, oops. Just kidding. Thank you for becoming a member again. I thought I was already a member. It must not renewed. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends how it's all set up. And then Streamlabs finally made it. Hi, the Hustler. I love this song. Yeah, the intro, a lot of people really like that. And so I've just left it as that. It works. It makes me happy. Like when you hear a song and it all of a sudden puts you in a mood, like a better mood in a sense. That's how I kind of feel. Not that I'm in a bad mood myself, but I mean for others. Ship Hector, hi, Sunny and everyone. And then Streamlabs. So don't forget punctuation where it says you're dropping a link. Hi, Ryan Hunt. Your name. And if you guys can see right here, this is one of the stickers. I know it's hard to see, but it's one of the stickers that Cheryl sent me. Cheryl, who is Share Cares in here, who had also sent me the big sticker and the small ones. As you can see, that one's missing because it's right here on my microphone. She sent me a pin, Jack and Lily. It's hard to see on that. And then she sent me another pin, which I thought was for Jack and Lily until I read it. And then it said, bitch. What does it say actually? Hold on. I gotta push it away. What does it say? Bitch, what? You doing a good job. That's what it says. How do I not remember that? And then as well, she sent me these beautiful pens. Okay, so those are, I love this one. This is my favorite because I love gradient. But, obviously it's the colors of Lily and Jack. Not to say those ones aren't, but still, that's my favorite on there. So thank you again, Cheryl, for using your own money, okay? Your own money to purchase these, right? It's nobody giving her all grief and stuff like that. She's got to be. She's really just the the amount of crafts and the stuff that she does. You know, her little yard there for Jack and Lily. That she has, and I've put it in some videos. And but the amount of love and care and stuff that people do, beyond what is expected. Okay, but for anyone that's in here, again, not everyone can buy pens and stuff like that. Ask her how much it cost. Cost a pretty penny, to be honest with you, even from Timu. Because especially the pens, those can get, well, they all can get really expensive. And then, but again, it's coming out of her own pocket. And so, just so grateful uh, that she was nice enough to send, all these wonderful things. So that's great. And then I'm expecting another pack. Oh, I should have checked the mailbox. I'm expecting another package for Charmaine. So when I see Charmaine on the way back down from the road trip there to Alberta, then I'll stop in and see Charmaine and give her wonderful treats as well. Cheryl, I'm just going to pretend they're from me. Just kidding. Hi. Okay. Um, hi, Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Work was fine. Work was easy breezy. I like it when they're easy breezy. And a nice day out. It's 31 out here. That's the temperature that it reached today. Thankfully, thank the Lord. It's only for like one day, and then it goes to 28, and then a reasonable 26, 25, and all that. So all I know is my husband keeps coming in the room, but he took the other fan out, and he keeps getting so hot in the living room, and I'm just like, air conditioning here, fans on me, I'm good. Anyways, so hope you guys is having good weather as well. I mean, don't forget I'm in like Langley of the suburb of Vancouver, one of them, and so yeah, for us to see snow, haven't seen it in a couple years, pretty much. Hi, little black bear, how are you? Oh, hey, Cheryl. There you are. Okay, and then okay, yes, ma'am's in the house. Was listening to your other live while I napped. Did you fall asleep? Huh. Hi, Brian. How are you? I asked her if she wanted to go for an ice cap. Oh, did you? But it's true. She was too busy. Yeah, right. Snob, isn't she? Yeah. Hi, Colleen. Ice cap sounds. I love ice caps. They're really well. Let's see here. Slurpee or probably go for a Slurpee before an ice cap. To be honest. Hi, Blueberry. I feel like you should have muffin at the end of your name. Yeah, it's my Apple playlist with Jack and Lily songs. Aw, that's so sweet. Okay, I should get going here to this blah 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 blah. Let me just see. Hi Jackson, how are you? You're a bad boy. You're a bad boy. I was in the lower mainland yesterday. Oh, were ya? I went to IKEA. God, I haven't seen. Oh yeah, I don't actually do IKEA. I've probably done it like 4 times in my entire life. Just not really an IKEA person. I'm an Amazon person. Um, Anything that I can have shipped um, is what I love. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well let's start off with Jack and Lily. If you haven't hit the like and the share for Jack and Lily, please do. We all know why. We all know that this case is taking our hearts. And again, I'm not a person that really sits there and has my channel doing a lot of different cases and stuff like that. I'm more of a one time, like, one person, one case type of person, maybe two tops. It depends. Sometimes I'll do two. Depends on what the case is. Like Nancy Guthrie's, I did a little bit of and stuff like that. Oh, for anyone that knows about the Harmony Montgomery case, I guess the stupid judge um, overturned his murder, but he's still in jail for like 30 years for all his other charges. But well, I mean, that's like letting Barry Morphew get off for the second time. It's just sickening. When you just expect justice to do its thing, and you always want everything just to be you know the way it should. is that if you do the crime, you do the time and stuff like that. But all that legal shit and mumbo jumbo and, can't bring this stuff into the case or can't do that, and that gets so like such bullshit. I'll just say it's such bullshit. This justice system can suck ass, is all I can say. I mean, sure, it's great when it works, but when it doesn't work, because they have to have this and this and this and this and this and this, and then they got to throw things out and they can't have, yeah, just whatever, suck it. That's insane. Did Murphy get off? No, no, not that he got off, but meaning if he does, get off. We all, it's like saying OJ is innocent. Now, some people believe that he is, okay? Yeah, not in my world. I remember watching that trial, that case when it happened. But anyways, I mean, he might as well have just come out and admitted it, like he almost did in that one interview, where it's like he said something, but it's like, it's not like you can do double jeopardy and stuff like that. But anyways, that's like saying OJ is innocent. It's like saying Barry Morphew is innocent, or that whatever his name, something Montgomery, whatever the dad's name is. What I thought. Couple things. I know Shanann brought her channel back up. Well, I don't know what she did to it, but when she took it down or whatever, I don't know what she did, but she totally got fucked up because all her subs are gone and most of her videos are gone. And I think she said something like, well, maybe it takes YouTube, they know if you, I'm not sure what happened there, but when you play games, I'll just say that. She played some conversation with Darren's yesterday, or with Darren Geddes and stuff like that. My feelings are this: I'm not into games like that. Spreading rumors that I spread a rumor about putting myself, saying I was in or going to jail or in jail. Everybody knows that people have different accounts. I don't think there's any need to prove that crap. I'm not into games like that, but that's her channel. She can do what she wants, and if it affects her in any way by doing that stuff, or any other channel or my channel, then so be it, right? If it's your actions and stuff like that, then got to be accountable for, what happens with that. But we will talk about a couple of things with that. Darren Geddes, I feel like Darren Geddes is one of those ones that after a while you're just like, that's Darren, always, giving other people shit, but doesn't really like it when it comes back on him. But if there's one thing that I personally feel, whether his theories are wild and outrageous, and he keeps flip-flopping like a fish back and forth, which reminds me, Darren, just FYI, I think your memory's going on you, because it was when you came on the live and started telling everyone that you knew where the kids were and that you were washing your hands of it because you knew that where they were and all that stuff, right? That's really where the beef started with Darren, because me and Charmaine, of course, and I think most people would be. Imagine if somebody came to you, and you're watching them on a live and they're like, guess what? Well, I know where the kids are. I'm all good with that. I'm done with this case, which she wasn't. And then, and that's all I need to know. So that's it. Imagine if that was your, that you're a family member and you're watching that and someone's saying that stuff to you, and you don't have anything to back it up at all. No receipts, no nothing, and that's what we were upset about, It's one thing if you're just talking about things, but it was just kind of like, yep, I know where they are. Da, da, da. Anyways, but I think his memory's going on him about how that all started. It's not like me and Charmaine. Well, he felt like it was us throwing him underneath the bus when me and Charmaine did a live the next day, telling about how upset and how wrong that was, type of thing. And then he blew a conniption shit, on us, and pretty much history. I think he forgets about the conversations that I did not give those to Shanann. Those were given to her by either Charmaine or somebody else at some point. I really have never watched Shenanigans. I only knew about her because of Daphne. Other than that, I still have. I, I watched the live yesterday. I ended up watching that. I'm always into listening. Sometimes, what when people are saying stuff, and if they're changing what they're saying, and I feel like with Darren, he, one minute he's blaming, saying Malaya and believes Daniel and all that stuff, and then he's accusing things and stuff. For your trip, thank you for all you do for Jack and Lily. Grateful. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. No, you're awesome. You're no, thank you. Yeah, actually, you know what sucked about that? I'll have to tell you. So we went to go replace. I'll just quickly say this: we went to go like we had a lot of running around. We had to renew our driver's licenses. I had to go to the dentist because I chipped a front tooth, so just a little piece, but still it was bugging me because when you put your tongue to it. And then anyway, so one of the things we planned on doing was going to swap our old tires, which were still like brand new, but they've been in storage for like 8 years, something like that, 9 years, because we've always just left our winter tires on, even though whatever. But anyways, but the two front tires are bald. But anyway, so we took our tires in, got them all loaded up, went through the storage and got them. And so we have an hour and a half to kill. Oh, better not say that word. Half an hour to wait, right? So we walk over to Bulk Barn, grab a few candies each, and da 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 da, just trying to waste some time and blah blah blah. Come back, and we're sitting in this Canadian Tire room that they kind of have. So I kind of get up because I have to go to the bathroom anyway. So I kind of get up and I'm looking at our vehicle and I see it just sitting there. So I said to the lady, like, "Are you guys going to call us when it's done?" And then she's like, "Which one's yours?" And we're like, "The Ford Explorer Sport." And she's like, "Oh yeah, so your tires are like 9 years old, and he said that they're too hard to put on, but here's a $1,350 quote." And you just were like, "Wait, what? Wait, what? What do you mean? These are freaking good tires still. Like they were good, but I don't know nothing about them sitting in storage and being too hard and whatever." So when we go up to Alberta, the front two tires are bald. So we'll just end up replacing the front two for now. Because I was like, really, 1350? This trip is going to cost me more than a few $1,000s in this trip alone. And the thing is that I literally had no intention of going up to Alberta using up my vacation days. Yeah, okay, it's fine. And my twin's birthday. But, I usually save some for Christmas, but I use them all up because my twin wants my husband, to do some construction, construction stuff, but stuff in the house for her. Right. So I was like, okay, well, husband, you want to do this? Want to go up there? Da da da. And he's like, yeah, sure. Because my twin said, well, I'll pay for your gas or whatever. Right. So I'm like, okay. But anyways, Sonny, Ryan will be, thankfully, Ryan, but I'm like, yeah, like this trip is costing more than I ever intended it to, considering it wasn't my dream vacation, you know, using up the rest of my holidays. But anyways, whatever. It is what it is. So thank you, Cheryl. Coming full circle around. No, I know. You know what? I mean, I agree. Trust me about the whole trying to just get you to get new tires. But I remember my husband Googled it and stuff. And, just because they've been sitting in wrap and stuff like that, I mean, regardless, the two front tires need to get replaced because they're bald as shit. So that part's true. But we're not going to do all 4. I ain't paying $13.50. Cut that bill in half, people. But anyways, so it's just one of those things. It's like, one step forward, 2 step back. It's always the same. That's like when we go to Mexico, kennel fees are 1,000. Oh yeah, right, right. I mean, shit, babysitters get paid more than probably minimum wage nowadays, and you're still in Canada. Yeah. Okay. So I was kind of just talking about like Shanann bringing back up her channel and whatever like that. Actually, let's talk about that first, and then I'll play the thing. So, um, it was funny because I don't usually watch. No offense, Susan, but I don't really watch Hidden in the Fog too much. I don't really watch a lot of things too much. If I watch anything, really, I'll watch pieces of Charmaine's live and pieces of Justin's live for the most part. But mostly, other than that, sometimes I just want to chill myself, or else I'm doing my own things. But anyways, so Susan from Hidden in the Fog did a video kind of like after that later, which I'm sure if you guys, how many of you guys most of you guys watch it on there? The live? Don't feel like you have to, guys. It's, but okay. Thank you, Pinky. Enjoy your trip and give Shar a hug. I certainly will. Oh, 1 second. 1 second. Husband's here. Just 1 sec, guys. All right. Sorry about that. Husband had to come get his shorts or something like that. I was like, oh, is pizza here? He said he was getting pizza. Seriously, it's like, take stuff. I make my lunch all the time for work. I barely ever rarely buy a lunch because I I just don't like wasting. Every time I go to like Fresh Street, it's like $15, $20. No, thank you. Now and again I'll go to Timmy's for a quencher, but I always make my own lunch. Husband, there's stuff in the freezer, and husband's like, yeah, I'm too lazy, and I'm like, and so he's like, today when I come home, he's like, I'm ordering pizza for dinner. And he said, and then like some boxing's on or UFC or something. Okay. Um, so good grief, so much chatter. You referring to me? You're referring to me, Truth and Beauty? Because I mean, if so, I mean, it's my channel. Fresh Street is so expensive. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so a couple of things that hidden in the fog, that same thing I picked up on, and I'm not sure if you guys did. Um, is when a couple things that she said. So one of the things that she said, actually, let me just bring that up. Share. Um, this one, which one is it? This one? Oh yeah. Okay. So it was the one yesterday said, I'm back, buckle up, misinformation. Okay. So I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna turn off my fan for a second, just because it's bugging me to hear it. I'm just gonna play this little part in a sec here, or I'll just make it bigger. Daniel owes you a bucket of KFC. I know, right? Let's see here. I gotta find the. Okay, where am I? Where am I? Trying to find it. Oh, this one right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna play this piece.
Now let's play devil's advocate. Let's play devil's advocate. So what if Malaya didn't hear the kids? What if, because she was groggy that morning for some reason, and she had mono and was sick, which has been proven, that when she woke up and didn't hear the kids, Daniel, who we know is an expert manipulator and good at conversation and planting the seeds, says to Malaya, don't you remember fucking Lily coming in the room?
He's not back.
Oh.
Okay. Coming back. All right. So, and sorry, my bad. If I said that, pretty sure I said thank you to Pinky there as my husband was coming in the room. Thank you for that, Pinky. Okay. So, hi, budettes. So when someone talks to a person, no different than, do you guys remember when Cheryl talked about the piece of blanket on the railing? And then, at least in my head, I was like, well, if Cheryl's saying that, and Cheryl, of course, is always with Malaya, pretty sure that's because Malaya told her that piece was hanging over the rail. She just didn't pull that out of her butt. But Cheryl always, at that point, not really wanting to bring up Malaya's name too much, just said it in a different way. So that's what this reminded me of with Shenanigans. Same thing. Again, I'm not looking at it through her eyes. I'm looking at it through our eyes, or, when you're listening to it. And to me, that tells me that Malaya, we already knew that all three of them seemed to be groggy and sleepy that morning, so to me, that would make sense without her saying it. But like, well, what if, Malaya was groggy and Daniel, I can see that. I can see Daniel being a manipulator. I mean, both of his uncles basically have called him a POS, Alvin and Wayne, but I don't think that people here are clueless, to say Daniel, because to me, he's very transparent of what he's doing and how he's acting and what he's saying, and, no matter what, it doesn't matter really what he says to me, right? Regardless of Jack and Lily, I already see the personality of him for who he is. So he's not going to change my mind on that, because he's already presented this for over pretty much a year of the inconsistencies, trying to justify things, re-saying things a different way, and just out and out lie, some of them. And all it is when people are trying to make themselves look like a swan when they're like a duck. And I just don't buy into that stuff myself, at least not very easily. But anyways, so is Daniel, I could see Daniel saying to Malaya, and this isn't meaning doesn't take anything off how I feel about Malaya, and her as the mother of these children that are missing. But I can see Daniel being like, well, yeah. I mean, you remember seeing Lily come in the room. Remember when I asked him that question? He's like, well, I'm not going to speak for Malaya. And I'm just like, well, that's strange, because you guys are both in the same bed. So really? So you wouldn't have known it all the multiple times that Lily came in, whether Malaya was awake? Or were you all groggy too all those times? But like what Hidden in the Fog said, and like what is true. So if Malaya is just going with what Daniel said to tell her, to say or whatever, then absolutely it changes the timeline. But it's not like I believed in the timeline anyway. But basically, you might as well just quash the timeline if, again, so where did Shenanigans get that from? It's not, to me, that's not just well, what if she was groggy? That would, if someone's talking with Malaya, and you're being buddies and all that stuff with them, that's just someone putting out, well, what if this happened? No, you guys probably had a conversation about it, and she probably said that to you, right? And that to me is where that's coming from. Now, she can deny that whatever all she wants. She's the one that had the conversation. But when you put stuff out there and you're literally talking to the person, and then put something like that out there, of course we're going to look at that, a lot more seriously than if she wasn't friends with Malaya and stuff like that. And the other thing that Hidden in the Fog, and I think I did, and you guys probably did as well, is when Darren had said to her, well, do you think Malaya's being truthful? And she's like, no, I don't know. I wasn't there. Well, so you're advocating for somebody, but you don't know if they're being truthful or not. So you're advocating for someone for women abuse issues and stuff like that. like when I heard that answer, I think anyone that listened to that was like, so hold on a second. So you're buddies, you believe in her and all that stuff. But your answer was like, no, well, I wasn't there, so I don't know. Well, obviously there was only a few people that would know this, but it's just like, if someone was backing me up and then I said a comment like that, I kind of would be a little bit probably pissed off a bit, just because it's kind of like, if you're going to advocate to me, you'd think that one hand holds the other on that. You think that if you're doing all this for her, wouldn't you then believe that she's being truthful? Not the, well, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but but that answer, so that one, like I said, how it rung to my ears, I think it's one of those Freudian slip things a little bit, but so that one kind of struck me as, I wouldn't want someone advocating for me if they didn't totally believe in me. I'll tell you that much. It just doesn't sit right when I heard that myself. So again, each to their own. What I want to say about say Shanann or Darren, I mean, I got no beef with either of them. I don't really care, right? Like, meaning they'll host their channel, they'll do what they do. But if there's one thing that I still feel very compassionate about when it comes to people, whether I agree with them or not, is that, do I feel like Darren Geddes is trying to figure out the answers for Jack and Lily? I do. Now, Darren seems to think that Malay and Cindy need his help, in order to help fix all this. And, not really, because they don't. They'll let the RCMP, right, obviously, do whatever they need to do. I'm pretty sure that they don't need Darren Geddes to assist them with anything. I think they probably feel like he's probably done enough damage to the whole situation with his flip-flopping of the different people and different things, the reservation and, all the different things. And, Daniel flip-flopping and stuff like that, changing it up a bit, about how the children were miraculously taken off this property. Not buying that at all. But I still feel like both of them, like, Shanann, like I said, I don't really know her very well at all. I know that there was some drama llama before, but I just ignored it in a sense, like, meaning I wasn't talking about it on the channel. Because each to their own. Again, it's like, I just really ignore most people. Sometimes I'll poke the bear at Mike because he's such an asshole, but mostly I just, like, creators can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, as up to us to either like them, not like them, call them, bullshit, if whatever, right? Without getting blocked, hopefully. But anyways, so I still feel like either of them, both really want the justice for Jack and Lily. And even though it might be in a different way and how they're going about everything, that's really what it boils down to me, is like, whether say Shanann is, I'm just hypothetical, but if you want people to talk, you want to give them a space that they can talk if they want to. And if that means smoozing them to get them to do that, to open up to you and stuff like that, so be it. Whether she's doing it genuinely or just doing it for the sake of trying to figure out answers for Jack and Lily, only she knows that, and if she told anybody, but that's, I mean, at the end of the day, actually, sometimes dealing with family members is actually hard, because you're always restricted in a lot of things about what you can say and not say, and it kind of limits you in some ways and stuff, like they, like, don't say this, but when all it is you just want answers, so if you're kind of going to talk, then you should put yourself out there, and speak and stuff like that. But it gets a little bit icky when people are always like, don't use my name, don't say I said this, da, 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 da. But it's the family members I'm really talking about. Em also said she heard them playing in the next room. She was quite clear. Yeah, that's what I mean. She made her bed on this one, right? Like, bottom line is she made her bed to this timeline. She said that they were playing. She said at 8:20 that Lily had come in the room and that she saw her once. Danielle said multiple times. But again, if in fact, Malaya was like, well, Daniel said, blah, 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 or you know what I mean? Your lies kind of will get caught up with you regardless. So anyway, so to me, it's like what I kind of feel in this case myself is that they were trying to, in my opinion, they were trying to stage it so that as if the children were just alive and somehow got outside, but planting those seeds of a timeline that sets it up to the fact that, like, look, I know they aren't on camera since like 2:22 the day before, but let's build this section where we act like the children are alive at 8 o'clock or 8:20 or whatever, and then we're gonna, because we're not thinking about putting our timeline together, us and oopsies, we created this little gappy window there that they're trying to make it seem like that somebody came in the house and took the children. I just call it hogwash. Oops, husband's back, I think, with pizza. All right, sorry, husband brought me pizza. So there's reasons why RCMP said that they didn't believe Janie. There's reasons, according to Daniel, because that's where it came from, was Daniel himself. There's reasons why Luke and the dog Narc said to him that they didn't believe his Thursday and that something happened to Jack. I mean, let's get real. If Malaya didn't in fact see Lily or Jack, and she was groggy, right, according to perhaps Shanann, well, what if she was groggy and Daniel is a manipulator. So, but I mean, I always try to look at what point could anything have happened without the other person knowing, or that, say, Janie wouldn't have known, or Malaya wouldn't have known, or Daniel wouldn't have known, and stuff like that. And just from everything, I personally can't find that window that makes it so that all of them wouldn't have known what happened that day because of all the inconsistencies. And they're all, I don't know, they just fall into your typical amnesia on each days, right? But I'm looking at what the police are saying, and that's more important than what they're saying, right? Because what they're saying is that they live on the property, and typically, people are willing to lie to cover up something. And I'm sorry, I am so far behind. Jack and Lily's pictures look better up. Justice for Jack and Lily. Oh, my bad. Another Cheryl. When Cheryl first appeared in the Still Missing group, I asked her if Malaya thinks Daniel might have done something when she was sleeping, and Cheryl answered, MEM still says she heard that. Right. Exactly. Right. And about the drugs. What about the drugs? 4 a.m., 12 a.m., again, all these different things. They're both in on it, or none of them. Yeah. And I would love to know. Well, I'm going to let you guys watch this again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Let's talk about the mono. So I was already, I had already been told, and I've said it here, but I was saying Clitius or something like that, but it was mono. Someone corrected me, and I went back and it was right. That's why I was told by a family member that it was mono. Now, So can you imagine? Let's just imagine this though. Can you imagine going for blood work and you have mono? Now let's keep in mind that Malaya gets a text on Sunday that says that Daniel is cheating on her. She gets like an unknown number to her phone saying Daniel's cheating. So the two kind of correlate each other. Daniel's trying to, of course, say that he would never do stuff like this. Okay. Well, what Daniel says and what's true are two different things, right? I mean, it's hard. Like I said, it's like the kid that cried wolf. Once you've blown the perception of yourself, to gain that back is like triple as hard to get anyone to believe things that you're saying. And you just don't know what's truth and what's not anymore. And that's all because of the actions of the person. But anyways, so picture Thursday and then going and doing the running around and going to get blood work. You know, you got mono because say your boyfriend's cheating on you and stuff like that. Do you think that if Malaya or any typical female, I mean, sorry, but you have to be dumb as a mofo to stay with anyone that cheated on you. Sorry about that. Not sorry. I would never want to be somebody's second, slobbery if somebody cheats. So love yourself more to ever stay with someone that cheats on you. Sorry. I don't work that way. You cheat, gone. Simple as that. But anyway, so imagine coming home. How many times have we heard about an argument that happened? How many times? Right? So could you imagine there was probably an argument, right? If Daniel's cheating on Malaya and Malaya's going to get blood work because of she knows that she didn't do that and whatever, so it must be Daniel, obviously. It's like my son, the same shit, right? First of all, my son's girlfriend at the time, the one that he thought he was the dad to this child and found out that she was cheating on him. So my son gets whatever, some sort of dicky disease down or whatever, something down there, right? And then she tries to blame him. My son's like, Mom, I never even cheated on her. So that's how I know for sure that it's her. Well, come to find out, that grandchild that I thought I had wasn't my grandchild at all because she was too busy fucking her ex-boyfriend and pretending that my son was the father of this child. And so then he went and had DNA, and came back that he wasn't the father. But anyways, so she tries to blame him. Typical shit, right? She tries to blame him for giving whatever that was that he said. I can't remember. But anyways, so that's the same shit here, right? Is Daniel claims that I wouldn't cheat on Malaya. Well, you don't go get blood work done for no reason. But I can see an argument happening, that night. It is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting when people play with other people like that. Meaning with regards to my son. And her name was Grace. How about disgrace? Not Grace. That's a good one, Sonny. Good one. You just thought of that. Disgrace. But anyways, M tried to add later that she woke up and heard D rustling. Right. Heard something about that. I think M tried to add stuff later to push the sleepy, unaware narrative. Right. And this is like, I still, like, as for, say, Brandon, okay, I'm not buying that's who he saw. He might have been down the road, but I'm not buying those people. I'm just not. It doesn't make sense. There's no logic to it. It just doesn't. So I want to play this for you guys again. It's like 6 minutes, but I still think the telltale is there of what this guy is saying. And this is the 1 year later. Oh, scared. Hi, Julie. Okay, so I'm going to play this because, like I said, what this guy's saying, pretty much exactly. So I'll just play it.
6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother, Jack, were reported missing from their home in the rural community of Lansdowne in Nova Scotia. A full year later, the case remains unsolved, and we still know very little about what happened to them. Joining us now is Michael Arnfield, criminologist and professor at the University of Western Ontario. Michael, thanks for making time for us today.
Of course, a very important case.
I'm interested to know, at the outset, Professor, what you have made of this case as it's unfolded over the past year. Is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, it cannot be overstated the statistical rarity of what we've seen, where more than one child goes missing at the same time. I know of only one other case unresolved in the US, 2001 in Chicago. And there is one other noteworthy Canadian case in Calgary where a grandchild was taken with their grandparents that ended in a murder conviction. So for two children to go missing at the same time and a year later to have no real investigative indicators, given that the police are still asking for tips and are actually also stating that they don't believe foul play is involved, this is extremely unprecedented.
What have you made, in fact, of the way the investigation has been carried out? It's being led by the RCMP's major crime unit, though, as you point out, they have not called it a criminal investigation. There's also very little physical evidence, as I understand it.
And that ultimately is the problem, the lack of physical evidence. I mean, the recovery of the blanket in the boot is somewhat ominous. And I mean, a year later, we can reasonably state that or speculate that the children are presumed to be deceased. That then leaves, without any physical evidence, the remaining question as to manner of death. So not necessarily cause of death, of which there's potentially hundreds, but there's really only 5 manners of death. And that determines how the investigation proceeds: accident, suicide, natural, homicide, or as it stands currently, undetermined. So without further physical evidence, I mean, police are operating on a theory.
Back to the live for a sec. Just because, like I said, as he points out, so the rarity of something happening like this, right, especially to two children, is such a rarity. And I stress that word, such a rarity, that beyond the property, for something to have happened to these children is just astronomically high, right? And so again, what have we been witnessing this whole time, this whole year? What are we witnessing? Are we witnessing truth? Or are we witnessing a bunch of inconsistencies, a mother that's hiding and barely ever speaking for her children, right? That's what we're witnessing. And that's not the way it goes when you're following a case that's being truthful and honest and genuine. You feel it, you know it. This guy, just like this guy says, this is what most of us know or think, that the evidence is what's holding this case back. It's the lack of evidence. It's not that this is really a missing person case, but they're leaving it in that category for now. Hey, Belinda's in the house. Hey, Belinda. Hi, everyone, it's Sunny and chat. If a mother had no idea what happened to her children, she would be begging for everyone's help in finding them. She would not hide and wait 12 months to still not plead. Right. Now, I get that some people are still under the impression and right. I mean, again, think whatever you like to this case. That somehow what they're trying to portray and is that Malaya knows where these children are. That's the same thing with the Brandon narrative, really. That Haley's family, Hayden and Emily, were down there in the midst of a search, okay? At the mid of a search, the police are just arriving there at 10:27 and all that stuff, okay? No, that the portrayal of this is like saying that Malaya needed to plant a blanket in a tree and plant a boot print so that she can project this, so that her family can fuck Daniel over and make these children disappear. Right? So what, Malaya? So what, Malaya would never see them again, and that she would just pawn them off, and that nobody would come forward at all. No one, because you know what? These children would have to be like hidden on a land, never able to come out, and it's preposterous. It is what it is. It really is. Like in the scope of things, right? So I don't believe that this happened and that Malaya has these children hidden somewhere. It's, you know, Darren and that can lead their, you know, their thoughts their own way and stuff like that. I'm still going to live in the land of what is statistical, logical, and what makes sense, because it's not trying to make people believe in something that's fictitious or sci-fi. This is like these cases, in sense, children going missing, little ones like this. It's statistical that these children, that more not times than ever, it's either family involvement or someone that is closely known to them. Very few are obviously to the exception. Trafficking, unlikely. Hidden, unlikely. But something, okay, actually I'll come back to that after. Anyways, nice to see you, Belinda. Hello, everybody. Wish I could say it individually. I'll just say it for you, all of you. Belinda loves you all. Thank you guys for being here. And absolutely. So this is about, like I said, statistical, but it's also about what makes sense and what we have seen and witnessed. And you guys know when something is not right, it means because something's amiss. There's lying going on and this portrayal. And I'm just not falling for that stuff. Who knows what the answers will come out to be in Jack and Lily's case, but I'll still stay grounded to what makes sense. And when you see a mother hide and you see a stepfather take the active role, and this perception to me that he's giving of, you know what, I'm just out here, I'm till death, till I'm dead, and my dying, breathing, last breath, I'm going to keep looking for Jack and Lily. And, I basically almost died going through the water there, as sticks almost impaled me, and I was running faster than helicopters and stuff like that. So why would Daniel, if he thought near the start that Malaya had something to do with it, why did he spend so much time looking in the woods, right? Malaya believes her children are alive. Why are you even bothering to join a search out in the woods? And that was just showing face to me personally. And again, it's her, those are her actions. She's the mother of 2 missing children. I mean, heaven forbid that she should have come out sooner. I mean, my bad. Am I being too hard? I don't think so, right? It's because we're all pissed. We're all pissed because of the bullshit. Anyway, let me play a little bit more of this, but I'll probably stop it if I want to talk about something else. But again, lack of evidence. That's what's stopping this case right now. It's a lack of evidence, So I don't know how long we have to wait, but that's what's holding up this case. And I don't want to think the worst about it never happening, right? We have to be hopeful for that the evidence will come, that the truth will come forward, and the people that know that they did something with Jack and Lily, pay for the justice when it on due course there. So let me take down that. I know we talk about all this stuff all the time, and it really is just about being practical, right? That's all this is. It's just about being practical to what makes sense, right? If you follow true crime enough, you know that what he's saying, what I'm saying, what a lot of people are saying is being practical and realistic. Again, it's not about Daniel or Malaya's side. Don't give 2 fucks about those sides. It's about being on the side of Jack and Lily and what makes sense to the answers. And what are we going to do? Well, we're not going to solve the case ourselves. So all we can do is keep talking about them, and we can keep talking about, simple things about facts and speculation. Because why? It's not normal that a mother goes and frickin' hides. It's not normal that the stepfather is the one sitting there doing all these interviews and having all these inconsistencies and building this, potholes of little, back into a timeline. Right? I mean, just look at the documents. One can't remember the Wednesday, the other can't remember the Thursday. Janie's in and out of sleep. It's just, like I said, it's about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. But I do not for 1 second believe that Malaya got her family to have this elaborate scheme to have these children go in hiding, and that they're all going to bear the brunt of their lies. That's just not going to happen, really. There's going to be someone in there that leaks something if that were the case, especially after a year, because there are people that will, of course, try to hide stuff or not say stuff for the sake of family. But then there's those people that actually have the hearts that, obviously would be torn if this happened. So this isn't this elaborate thing, because there was no need for Malaya to do this. Now, some people will say trafficking. Actually, we'll get back to that. Let's just play this out still.
It sounds like, but without evidence as to manner of death, I think all options remain viable.
Is it unusual that the police have not shared even a theory of what they think might have happened? They also haven't confirmed other details, like the boot print you mentioned. If they think it was made by Lily or Jack, they haven't really spoken about any of that.
I mean, this is a high-profile investigation. This is a extremely competent unit that's investigating it with significant resources. So they know what they're doing, and they're obviously holding back information as is necessary to preserve the integrity of the investigation, while still asking for tips from the public. After a year, and this has been the position of our research team for some time, when you have anniversary stories and you ask for, there's a renewed plea for tips, it should be a bit of a two-way street. And as time marches on, some of the holdback information should be sparingly released to the public so they know what types of tips to provide. So in this case, we have no new information, and yet the ongoing request for information to go to them. So I would hope that in the coming maybe weeks that a little bit more information that will allow the public to, really sort of think on how they can help might get released.
I do want to ask you about the role of the public, because unsurprisingly, given the lack of answers, there has been widespread speculation, theories about this case. I know, RCMP, as you point out, they've said they're open to what they're calling fact-based tips. How helpful or how hurtful are public tips, public theories in cases like this?
Well, again, soliciting public tips is a double-edged sword. I mean, the public are crucial to solving a vast number of crimes, whether as tipsters, confidential informers, or just people providing information that can steer the investigation in a particular direction. But at the same time, can absolutely overwhelm police resources. I mean, in this case, there's been over 1,000 tips that have been, those are just action tips. We don't know the total number of tips that were maybe screened out entirely, but that have taken up valuable resources. So as you mentioned, when there's no information as to what the working theory is, and all options remain viable, I mean, you're going to get everything from mind readers to people who have a particular theory or a grudge. So this is why information coming down sparingly, again, hold back information released sparingly, can really help sort of winnow those tips to meaningful ones, versus now, I mean, it's anyone's guess. So people are calling in with all kinds of wildfire speculation.
What happens next? I know the RCMP have said there is a very slim chance that the children are alive, but their investigation continues. And volunteers, they're also continuing their own search efforts.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the best investigative resource for police is the continued search. There has to be additional physical evidence that will allow them to make, again, an informed determination as to A, what happened, B, a determination as to manner of death. I mean, ideally, the children are recovered, but at this point, without the children, all they can continue to do is hope for meaningful information to be forthcoming. And again, the searchers, I mean, we don't know what methods entirely have been used. Are they using infrared cameras, for instance, in the areas that they can't get to? Or what types of dogs are they using? Tracking dogs or cadaver dogs? And this is where the public can also play a role. There are outstanding civilian search groups that I would hope are being leveraged in this case to assist with and as force multipliers for the police search team.
Like, see, this guy is logical, you know, and that's the whole point of it. He's logical, you know, lack of evidence, you know, such a rarity for this to even happen. And that's pretty much it for that part. Really, it's just thinking logically about what could have happened. Now, that part's speculation, obviously, because nobody's been arrested and it's just speculation about our thoughts. But again, are our thoughts that absurd? Or how about Daniel's thought? Okay. That helicopters, when he's out of service, literally fly up in the air looking for him to make sure he's safe. Same with all those drones. Is that delusional? Or do you think that that's normal? Do you think in what world would we ever believe, besides unless you're like a president or prime minister or somebody very important, in what universe, in what normal universe would we think that helicopters would be making sure that Daniel was okay and that when he's out of service? I'm just saying, right? So if someone is telling you that, either you've been whacked up on drugs too long, you're delusional and trying to sell us a bunch of BS, because we all know that that's not normal. We all know that nobody in their typical right mind would literally say, but Daniel is probably the first that I've even heard of for letting it be known that helicopters are flying over when he's out of service. Like, again, I don't know if he's that messed up here to actually think that we're buying that. That's why I think that Daniel, when he was talking about Narc and Luke, the sergeant, right, that he let us know that that's what Luke said to him about Thursday night. And I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that someone would even tell us that. But the reason why somebody would tell us that is because, like Daniel kind of said, you know, he's faster than their helicopters. Helicopters are just pretty much sitting up in the sky, watching Daniel run around with a chicken with his head cut off as he's searching the waterways for Jack and Lily. And that the helicopters are like, damn, that boy is fast. You know what? He can find Jack and Lily. We'll just sit up here in the air, you know, because Daniel is so much faster than us, obviously, right? So what? Again, it's ridiculous. The police saying that's what you have to look at. Not with so much you have to look at what they're saying, right? But you take it with the grain of salt, because you can't believe any of them, you know. And then, you know, family wants to talk, not talk, hash this, and, you know, they don't want to get in their arguments and all that stuff. And I get it, you know, they don't have to come to social media, like meaning true crime and stuff like that, you know, and then it just, of course, turns into a circus pretty much. Doesn't matter really who comes up. Doesn't even matter that it's Belinda, you know, an innocent grandmother just trying to get answers for her children. You know, she's not immune to any attacks on her and stuff like that, because that's what people do to kill time, is sit there and try to, you know, blast everyone that tries to be truthful and talk and do stuff like that, you know, versus the liars. So, you know, again, then people stop talking because of that reason. And, you know, and here we sit just keep trying to find just answers, simple answers you would think for Jack and Lily. What should have been what most of us, I think, thought was going to be that they were going to find them right away. But then once we realized it wasn't happening, I think most of us still thought that we would have answers like rather quickly. Like within a week, we would have the answers of what happened to Jack. And then we sit here a year later. Nobody's claiming a reward, right? Nobody's faked out, supposedly anybody and stuff like that. So I'm tired of LE blaming social. Oh, yeah. When it comes to that, I mean, I get it. I get, just like there's good cops and bad cops. Well, I think the true crime community is the same thing. It's a lot of different rules between media, YouTube, and stuff like that. The world has definitely changed that way. It's like if it wasn't for social media, a lot of these cases you would never even hear about, sadly. So it's kind of got its pros and its cons, but you got to take the good with the bad. That's just simply how it is. But I agree with this Michael dude when he says, like, when time has gone by, then give us some driplets of something else, right? Give us something else. They know more, but there's definitely going to be things that aren't necessarily going to harm the case. But police kind of all work the same way. Yeah, we're just going to keep it all to the vest. If this goes unsolved for 10, 15, 20 years, doesn't matter. We're not going to let the public in on anything type of thing. We do need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need some truth tellers. Yeah, the silence speaks loud and clear. Absolutely. Says a lot. So, again, I go to my friend, AI, because I do really like putting in, certain things. I'm sorry, I'm gnarly today. Last night in work, 2 sets of parents lost babies born too early. And, oh, hey, Sammy from Miami. 1 second here. Sleeping, their grief stays with you. Heart renders sobs. Whoops. Do I have your thing? Oh, I have it up. Apart from Belinda and Chelsea, this bunch. Thank you for being here. Sammy from Miami is in the house. Thank you for the super sticker. So bright and red. Not 40 drones there. No, not 40 drones there. I feel D is confident they will not be found. I feel, yeah. I feel like it too. But, to me, it's one of those things we got to put on the act. And, that's how I see it. That's just my opinion, okay? That's how I see it. Again, I don't think this is going to veer off the absurd train when it comes to the answers when they do come. Okay, so I wanted to, of course, like I said, I like to ask AI things. Okay, so I asked it, if we look at the bare bone facts of Jack and Lily Sullivan case, give me the most likely scenarios based on the facts alone. So it says, and again, there's a little Jack and Lily sticker right there. Okay, so I'll keep that there now. Thank you for that, Cheryl, by the way. So it says, based on the bare bone facts, verified document in Nova Scotia RCMP, factually, the case presents 2 distinct, realistic people paths, each supported by specific pieces of physical evidence and operational timelines. Scenario 1, lost in the wilderness, misadventure. The environmental facts. The family home is on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, surrounded by a harsh, deeply rural landscape characterized by thick brush, swampy wetlands, steep, hard packed embankments, and an adjacent river. The behavioral fact. Jack 4, Lily 6 at the time, were known to play outside together and build forts near the woods. They were young, impulsive, and unmonitored for a window of at least 20 minutes. That's when they just miraculously just disappeared. But anyways, the morning of May 2nd, 2025, the physical evidence. Volunteer search teams recently discovered a full child-sized boot print pressed into the mud, along with a remote pipeline trail deep in the woods. Furthermore, the original RCMP K9 unit successfully tracked down a scent line for roughly 1 kilometer. Wait, what? Hold on, let me read that. The original RCMP K9 unit successfully tracked a scent line for roughly 1 kilometer, starting from the location from where the blanket wasn't found, it hanging. No, okay, that's not true. I don't know where that fucking came from. I gotta tell AI to get their shit straight. The probability. If the children, I don't know where it got that, because I asked it to use facts. Anybody know of that they all said that this K9 dog went up to the blanket? No, they're getting that fact wrong. If the children slipped out of the house, they likely wandered directly into the thick, treacherous terrain. And remember, this is scenario 1. Basically, it came up with 2 scenarios, okay? The most likely realistic scenarios. The fact that an intensive 160-person ground search yielded no trace within the first 5 days aligns with how easily a vast, dense wilderness can swallow evidence, leading the RCMP to state that the chance of them being alive were very slim. I wonder what scenario 2 is for the most realistic likelihood. Oh, let me read it. While the RCMP maintains this is a missing person investigation and has stated that there is no evidence of an outside abduction, they have explicitly stated that they have not ruled out that the disappearance is suspicious. The bare bones timeline and physical evidence create a strong circumstantial case for internal involvement. The timeline discrepancy. The parents claim that the children were inside the house, drifting in and out of the bedroom between 8 o'clock a.m. and 9:40. Well, that's kind of like the timeline that they have presented is between that timeline, right? However, the last independent verified sighting of the children was the day prior, May 1st, captured on a Dollarama camera, security camera in New Glasgow. There is a zero external independent verification that Jack and Lily were alive on the morning of May 2nd. And this is my biggest thing. It's always been the blanket. The blanket, according to the unredacted court documents, the primary piece of physical evidence, Lily's pink blanket, was found torn into 2 matching fragments. One fragment was found hanging from a tree in the woods on the afternoon of May 2nd. The matching half was found stuffed inside a trash bag at the end of the family's driveway 2 days later. The probability. Statistically and forensically, a torn piece of evidence matching an object found at a potential scene in the woods does not naturally end up in a resident's household in the trash bag unless someone from the residence put it there. This physical match strongly implies that the evidence trail in the woods was staged, or that the blanket was handled and disposed of by someone inside the home after the children disappeared. Shocker. Conclusion, what the facts point to. When you strip away the internet rumors, the facts indicate that scenario 2, the domestic involvement staging, holds the strongest forensic weight. While children wandering off or getting lost, scenario 1, happens frequently, it does not account for a matching of a child's blanket discovered inside a garbage bag at the end of the family's own driveway, days into a massive police investigation. Based on the facts alone, the physical evidence of the torn blanket suggests that the timeline provided by the household is compromised, and that the children may have met with foul play or domestic accidental prior to 10:01 a.m. emergency call being planned. So then that was it for that part. Then I asked it. Daniel stated to a reporter, Lindsay Jones, Globe and Mail, that Malaya is trying to blame everything on me so she doesn't get into trouble. If this statement is true, describe in Jack and Lily missing what you think happened between May 1st and the morning of May 2nd. It says, if Daniel Martell's defensive claim that Malaya is trying to blame everything on me and she doesn't get into trouble is true, it reframes the entire timeline between May 1st and May 2nd. It implies that serious domestic incident or fatal accident involving Jack and Lily occurred within the household, and that both adults became co-conspirators in covering it up before turning on one another when the police investigation closed in. Based on the unredacted court documents, known evidence, this premise of mutual guilt, here is the most logical scenario of what likely happened during the critical hours. May 1st, escalation, the catalyst. The last independent verified sighting we know is at Dollarama 225 on May 1st. The fighting. Unredacted documents confirm Daniel and Malaya had been engaged in severe ongoing arguments regarding money, domestic stress. Furthermore, unsealed documents show allegations of physical volatility and in the home, including Daniel blocking Malaya, holding her down, or taking her phone. The incident. Between the evening of May 1st and the early morning of May 2nd, the domestic tension likely boiled over in a high-stress environment. Now think about the mono. Think about the mono and the cheating, perhaps. Like I said, are you going to be, woo, yeah, I just got my blood work done. Mono it is, No. Probably going to be having a few choice words and be pretty pissed off inside. Because that means that somebody's freaking ass cheating on you. But anyways, in a high stress and severe physical escalation of extreme neglect occurred, resulting in fatal harm to Jack and Lily. If Daniel's quote is accurate, it suggests both parents were present or responsible for the environment that led to the children's deaths, making them equally liable. The early morning cover-up and staging May 2nd. Instead of calling emergency services immediately, which would expose them to criminal charges and removal of their infant daughter, Meadow, the couple made a pact to stage a disappearance. The blanket fragmenting. This is where the primary piece of physical evidence fits perfectly. To build a plausible story that the children wandered off and got lost, a piece of Lily's blanket was intentionally torn. Not to say that was intentionally torn. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Again, I think it probably was on the railing and let's just make it seem like this. Planting of evidence. One of the adults took a fragment of the torn blanket and placed it prominently in the tree roughly 1 kilometer down Lansdowne Station, or Lansdowne Road, that would have been, to draw searchers and K9 units away from the immediate property. The garbage bag oversight. In their panic and rush to get back to the house before triggering the timeline, the remaining half or piece of the matching pink blanket was sloppily stuffed into a household trash bag and left at the end of the driveway, which police found 2 days later. Well, Daniel put 2 and 2 together, don't forget, right? Because remember, he thinks he's a couple steps ahead of the game, right? So executing the alibi timeline. Once the staging was complete, the couple had to align their stories for the 911 call. We all know that they tried to do that. Okay, they tried, and then they failed. Again, it's not because they're smart. Hi, Ben. I see that picture. I see that face. Okay, so they established a tight window between 8 a.m. and 9:40 a.m., claiming that they were lounging in bed with baby. Meanwhile, Meadow, while Lily supposedly poked her head in and Jack made noise in the kitchen. Again, to me, that, for my personal opinion, that's for them trying to prove that here Jack was in the kitchen playing. I heard it. The kids were in the bedroom and Lily came in and poked her heads. That to me is trying to prove proof of life at that time. But guess what? Janie, the RCMP said that they didn't buy your shit. Daniel, you told us that the RCMP didn't buy your shit. Huh. I wonder why. Tight timeline? That doesn't make sense. The 10:01 a.m. call, Malaya waited until 10:01 to call 911, giving Daniel a 20-minute window to pretend he was driving around frantically searching for them. Now, don't forget this part, okay? And this is where, again, the timeline goes off. Daniel claimed that Lily had come into the room, and within 20 minutes that they, oh my God, do you hear the kids? Do you hear the kids? Multiple times. Some interviews he said a few minutes, other ones he said 20 minutes later. Okay? DT kept giving him grace for everything because he sucks. That's what happens with DT. You suck. You should have never been a police officer because you suck. And so DT kept, how do you give somebody an hour window, right? Either you're BSing because you're trying to cover your ass from the public and CPS from looking like shitty parents, right? Or it's just a bold-faced lie anyway. But it's at 20 minutes, so that gives you 8:50. But then you guys all claim you woke up an hour later. Daniel had no answer for where this 1 hour window of time went. Why? Because you really weren't thinking about that to me when you were kind of coming up with your timeline, alibi, and stuff like that. Okay, so, but anyway, so the collapse of the pact. The pact between them collapsed almost immediately because the police scrutiny was too intense. Within 24 to 48 hours of the disappearance, Malaya abruptly packed up, left the home to live with her mother, and completely blocked Daniel on social media and phone lines. Because we all think to normally get on our Facebooks and let's see, Daniel's cheating. Well, you know what? Let me just take down Daniel's old pictures. Fuck the fact that my kids are missing. But let me do what's important first and take down the pictures of Daniel. Okay, those pictures were taken down. Why? Because Daniel was supposedly, we'll just say supposedly, cheating on Malaya. This isn't somebody that's so concerned about Jack and Lily, making herself, using her social media to bring awareness to Jack and Lily, besides that one day on May 2nd when she put up that about the Amber Alert thing that, that they wanted one. Other than that, her main concern was to take Daniel's pictures down and remove them because that's an important thing to do when two children are missing, but people keep wanting to make excuses for all this bullshit. Nope, sorry, I don't. I'm not like, you know what I mean? There's common sense, and then there's, just bullshit when two children are missing. So I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you know what? Like every single thing that you said that doesn't make sense. You know what? Let me just give you a pass. Hi, Native. Girl talks crime, 969. Well, we like the 69 year I was born. Malaya's statement. I'll just read this. One sec. Malaya's statement, Jack and Lily were loud in the room next door. They woke up Meadow. I got up and I turned the TV on and put them in the bed with me and Daniel. Again, this is all just to me. Just trying to plan a timeline where the children are alive, right? Making it seem like they were alive at this point and this point and this point. Did you hear what Darren said about Janie? Now, I mean, besides he flip-flops like a fish, he said that, even though Janie denied it anyways, but remember when Darren said and that Janie, she heard Malaya hushing the kids, right? Now that has changed. Now, you know what? Okay, you know what, people? It's not that Janie heard say Malaya no more. It's that all of a sudden, another female voice that she thought was Malaya's came onto the property, right? Came literally onto the property, walked up to the back door or something, opened it up and said, come on, Jack and Lily, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go hide you children. What the actual fuck? Okay? Like, seriously. Darren. What the fuck, dude? Did you leave your brains at the door? So now that's what it is. Hi, Art. Hi, Angus. Oh, now you make me want steak. But can you now? It's like, oh, now Janie doesn't know that she heard Malaya, but she heard a female voice, and you know what? In that little tight window gap between what 9:20 to 9:40 and stuff like that, all of a sudden, wow! So this person comes up. They must have parked at the end of the road, so little Fluffy Tucker couldn't hear, the children, outside playing on the swings, because children always love to go play on the swings, wait for that stranger to, that must obviously know them. And I think he thinks someone said it, that he thinks that's Belinda. Right. Yeah. But it's just like, so now that's what you're trying to portray to us? Like, what is it with this bullshit of to try to keep selling us that somehow someone came on the property that took them off? I mean, Daniel's new theory is redonkulous. That some traffickers, that had the balls to actually go plant a blanket while the investigation's going on, and that they were scoping out the freaking property. Now we got some person that knows the kids coming up in this tight little window that nobody heard Janie, right? We all know Janie's fucking ears are to the wall there, and the dog is going to bark like shit if the dog hears anything coming on that property. Okay? You don't think Janie's just going to keep sleeping? But now, right, Janie's not sure. She heard a female voice, and obviously someone was wise enough to park out on the street, go take the kids so that she could hide them and take them off to Never Never Land. Come on. Let's get, like I said, okay, realistic or delusional? It's quite delusional. But hey, you know what? Someone wants to buy that shit that you're stacking so high, and they want to believe in that. Okay. I mean, there's no proof to what happened to Jack and Lily. Right? It's kind of ridiculous to think that that's where we're at now. Let's just keep switching that 20-minute window up. 3 months after she left Daniel in her text messages, she said, yeah. Well, she said it to me, right, Angus? Right? Those messages to me. That she heard Jack and Lily. I should have asked her if she's seen Lily at the time, but I wasn't even thinking about that because all I ever heard her say was she heard the children, right? Wasn't even thinking about that. So it says the bottom line in Daniel's statement, if Daniel's statement is true, Jack and Lily never woke up in the morning of May 2nd. That wandered into the woods narrative was mutually manufactured lie. The children likely died inside the home or on the property during a volatile domestic window on May 1st, and the subsequent evidence trail in the woods was a frantic attempt at staging that fell apart the moment investigators found the other half or portion of Lily's blankets sitting in their own trash. 2 + 2. Okay? That's another bullshit thing that they're trying to say. So you have to remember, right, is that Brandon, he's claiming that Emily and Hayden, that they were the ones. Okay? Sorry, dude. I don't believe you on that one. I think you got something wrong in that whole story going on over there. Don't believe you. Because don't forget, Daniel has claimed that on DT, and has claimed even when he's talking lately, right, that there was a hole punched in the garbage bag, right? Obviously, traffickers, they instantly think that they're going to go open up your fucking garbage lid, punch a hole in the bag, go to the bottom of the freaking garbage bag and go, oops, here's a piece of blanket. Oh, you mean that same blanket that you and Malay and that can't get your shit and stories straight on? You mean the piece that's on the rail? That blanket? The one that, oh, I put 2 and 2 together blanket. So where do you think that after the RCMP are there on the property, right? that somehow, because remember, there's a hole. According to Daniel, there's a hole there. So that hole was in the garbage. It wasn't that that piece was now all of a sudden supposedly taken the night before for Malaya's family to go freaking plant it in a tree. It's ridiculous. But the hole's there. So during the fact when the RCMP are there on the property, some ass idiot from Malaya's side of the family punches a hole in the bag, Hayden or Emily, and goes and plants it there. It's fucking ridiculous. And you know what? If you can't make sense out of that either, then that tells you that it's a bunch of bullshit. Hi, Native Girl. Thanks for this $4.99 super sticker. Appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't hit the like and the share for Jack and Lily, please do. There's my online husband, Ben. Ben. Nice to see me again, isn't it, Ben? Okay, but seriously though, guards, right? When you can't make shit out of bullshit, it's because it doesn't exist. Now, Hayden passed his poly. Haley passed her poly. Pretty sure one of them's going to fail somewhere, right? It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense because it's bullshit, right? So with all the deflecting going on, well, let's just point the fingers back to the property, because to me, that's where the truth lies. So I said, based on the facts, what is the percentage, A, that Malaya had the kids taken and hidden from the property, and B, that the children were trafficked? Why or why doesn't this seem likely? Well, when analyzing these two theories based strictly on factual evidence, the official statements from Nova Scotia assignability percentages cannot be precisely calculated. However, criminologists and investigators weigh the probability of these scenarios based entirely on physical evidence and the known investigative timeline. Here is how both theories stack up against the bare bone facts. The Warrenton surveillance. RCMP Major Crime Unit executed search warrants specifically targeting material and digital devices of those closest to the children. This includes seizing and renewing phone records, bank records, and over 8,100 video files. If Malaya had coordinated with an outside party to remove and hide the children, a digital footprint, text messages, calls, or financial transactions to an accomplice would certainly have been flagged by the forensics team. The neighborhood perimeter, the unredacted ITOs shows that the investigators actively requested DVR data from the local school bus cameras, neighborhood trail cams to check the morning timeline. No unverified or suspicious civilian vehicles were captured executing a coordinated pickup of two children at the property during that tight morning window. The torn blanket fact. If the goal was simply to hide the children safely elsewhere, it does not logically explain the primary piece of physical evidence, Lily's pink blanket being physically torn, with one fragment left hanging in the tree and the one matching found stuffed in a trash bag at the end of the family's driveway. Staging an evidence trail in the woods points towards covering up a mishap, then safely relocating children. Trafficking. Sergeant Rob McCammon, the officer in charge of the major crimes, has explicitly stated multiple times in the media that there is no evidence of an abduction. The case remains officially classified as a missing persons investigation. The logistics child of trafficking miss. In professional criminology, the idea of children being randomly targeted and snatched by trafficking rings, I think though people are kind of thinking that as if they took them somewhere and sold them off, from rural residential properties is a widely debunked social media trope. True children trafficking almost exclusively involves grooming, exploitation of vulnerable runaways, or online extortion, not an opportunist, silent double abduction of a 4 and a 6-year-old from a backyard without leaving a single trace. scent line, or vehicular witness. The location. Lansdowne Station is deeply rural, sparsely populated area surrounded by thick woods and dead-end roads. It is logistically impossible environment for human traffickers to scout entire. Well, tell Daniel that, okay? Daniel, I think you got it wrong. And exit unnoticed by family members who claim to be moving in and out of the home's bedroom at that exact time. Why the scenarios don't align with the case facts. When criminologists look at profoundly rare reality of two young siblings vanishing simultaneously without a trace, they look to where the hard evidence points. The facts of this case do not support external operations like hiding networks or trafficking. Instead, the facts remain tightly bound to the property itself. The lack of independent, that's a shocker to the property itself. The lack of independent verification that the children were alive in the morning of May 2nd, the last sighting being May 1st at the Dollarama, the blanket found split the woods and the family's household garbage. Anyways, woo, that was a read. I have Smirnoff. It's peach and mango. So freaking good. Tell you that much. So, I mean, I know I keep plunking this stuff in, and I know we keep talking about it, and stuff like that. And again, it's just because logic kicks in, right? She had blood work Thursday that could confirm or deny whether she had mono. Well, I mean, absolutely, right? I mean, so she gets mono. What does that point to? Well, it points to someone cheating. That's pretty much about it. But, again, do you guys remember the article where the RCMP said that basically they had the picture, right? And like this guy Michael's talking about, and just like you guys know, it's about the evidence. It's about the evidence. It's one of those things, like I said. To me, Janie, the only person that couldn't take a polygraph, they bust their own timelines through and through. The more that some more information kind of comes to light, or the inconsistencies in what they're saying or doing, it's not going to hold water to when the truth comes out. Mono can be spread through coughing, sneezing, sharing utensils, not just sexual. Kids get it often, and it's no worse than... Okay, Malaya doesn't leave her freaking home, right? Malaya doesn't leave her freaking home, pretty sure. But anyways, regardless, like for me, honestly, it's about the potential of... She gets a text on the Sunday that Daniel's cheating on her. Kind of aligns with each other, right? And it's about the fact that would something like that, regardless, create an argument, right? Maybe it's all the drug use that Daniel's claiming that he didn't do, according to Daniel. But yet Malaya told Cheryl, Malaya told Haley, right? About Daniel doing drugs that night. Now, Cheryl says, like I showed you the screenshot the other day. She goes, well, I don't know about 4 a.m. Malaya just said he was up all night doing drugs. Now, Haley said 4 a.m., but she also did say around 12 o'clock originally. So I feel like there's some moments in there for a different time, perhaps. Then we heard Anita say that Malaya said she got up at 3 o'clock, 3:09 in the morning, and Daniel was ruffling. What's with all this ruffling stuff going on? Turning on kids' lights at 12 o'clock? Can't remember if Malaya or the kids are sleeping or awake. Doesn't remember shit about that too much. Janie just goes inside, like she says, and goes, I don't know what happened to Lily and Jack. I just went to go get something to eat. What about the fence that you guys were doing all night? Reiki, right? So is it too hard to think? Like, if you heard this shit coming out of your freaking friend's mouth, you don't think that you'd give him one of those what the fuck type of stares that, like, that doesn't make sense. So why are we trying to make sense out of bullshit for Daniel and Malaya? Just, even at the bare minimum, that these two people were still responsible for their care. I don't understand that about the internet. Why in real life, it's kind of like when people are hailing these criminals that have YouTube channels, and you guys have no fucking clue what these criminals' backgrounds are. And you guys are, oh my God, you guys are the wonderful, you guys are the best. I mean, and you say to them, so would you have your daughter marry JLR? I mean, you're dropping him money. You're acting like that you're pretty much freaking in his cult or something, that he's the best thing, But let me ask you, would you want your daughter to marry somebody that spent 10 years in jail conning someone and stuff like that, and has a background of deception, that has literally pretended to be of the nephew from the Sandy Hook killings, that literally stood by Hillary Clinton? I know, that has the most freaking, what is it, Guinness Book of World Records for the most lawsuits against people. And you're going to sit there and act like they're the best. So why do people accept this bullshit on the internet more so than they would in real life? Because I'm sure if I forced your daughter to marry JLR, you would have something pretty to say about that. And I'm sure it wouldn't be wishing them their best. So why do people accept the bullshit of Malaya's actions, Daniel's, actions and lack thereof truth and stuff like that? So why are we accepting that? No, you question it. That's what you do. Because if it doesn't make sense, it means that they're lying. It's that simple. That simple. Right? The actions of watching this whole case, and we're going to sit there and go, oh, boo-hoo, Malaya. Fuck off, Malaya. Fuck you, Malaya. That's my boo-hoo for you, Malaya. Like, fuck off. I don't got the little fucking pity party sitting there for you. You don't deserve it. Okay? You've basically put the kids in this position. Whether you're part of it or not remains to be seen. Either way, you stayed there with this drug-infested person since Meadow was born. You let the children go on the property unsupervised because you can't even stick to your own story of words. These children just didn't go out a door, and that they just did everything opposite. Janie, you didn't stay home because you just felt like it. In my opinion, it's because a lot of you were trying to keep a story together, but your timelines failed each other. That's why the RCMP don't believe you. You couldn't take a polygraph test. I have to get over that one, but still, it sucks because the only person that truly claims, but then she'd be like, oh, I guess I got that wrong because it was some other person. I guess it wasn't Malaya. It was some other person that came up on the property now. Fuck off. Yeah, I'm not on the pity party for Daniel, and I'm not on the pity party for Malaya, or anybody for that matter, besides Jack and Lily. Hi, Dawn. Right? Let common sense prevail. Right? And the truth for Jack and Lily come out. I know that still Ninchi had asked me to go through all of Daniel's and Malaya's stuff, and it's just so much work. And I'm not sure what she was actually asking for, because she meant all the private conversations as well. Actually, you know what? When I click on Daniel's Facebook, I can see all the messages. But when I click on his Facebook, because normally you can click on the picture, it says, that one where it says that the website has been removed or whatever. So I feel like he took down that part of the Facebook, hid it or something, right? Now on Facebook Messenger or Facebook, you can do some other shit nowadays. You can have messages deleting after, 24 hours or after. I remember when Tint would send me something and I went to go take a screenshot, right, of it. And I think that's when he was showing me about Brad's property, about who that neighbor was. And then all of a sudden it had this little timer on it that it wouldn't allow you to take a screenshot. Never seen this shit before. I was like, Tint, trying to take a screenshot here. What's that stupid thing you got on it? He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, it says that this message, that it will let the person know that you're taking a screenshot. I'm like, I don't care. Taking a screenshot. I don't give a shit who knows it. I'm going to take a screenshot because obviously, when people are sending you messages and stuff like that, you want to have the backup in case they delete it right away and stuff like that. I'm very much proactive about that as much as I want to be. I don't know who said that the kids, I don't recall that. That the kids smell like urine. I don't recall that, Jacqueline, myself. Daniel definitely sounds delusional at times, but Malaya doesn't even speak. No, because she'd probably sink her freaking battleship if she did. You know why? In my opinion, she couldn't keep up with all the lies. Well, that's just it, right? To me, Daniel is a natural at the BS and the manipulation. Malaya, not so much, right? I'm pretty sure that whatever happened that night, if something happened that night, I should say, which I believed it did. I don't, the thing I always struggle with is, did Malaya do something to the kids? Did Daniel do something to the kids? Who's the most likely to do something to the kids is usually the stepfather versus the mother, but the mother. Hi, Roseanne.
At Roseanne X6Y Super Chat,
Mhm.
$2 You're awesome. Thank you. NBJ Nick calls me second question mark RMJ3 on record. Number 1628M.
I feel like I need to decode that. NB. Who's NB? Because now I've got freaking Nicola Bully in my head. NB. Who's NB?
At Roseanne X6Y
Did you mean to do that again?
$2.79. You're awesome. Thank you. NBJ Nick calls me second question mark RMJ3 on record. Number 1628M.
Roseanne, I don't know that you meant to do that twice. I'm sure you could go to your whichever payment and retract one of those. Yeah, I don't know if she hit copy and I'm not sure. But I need to decipher this. Can someone help me decipher this, Roseanne? NB Janie calls May 2nd. Who's NB? Sorry, you guys. Sometimes my brain's not working when it comes to initials. R and J. Who's R and J? Help me. Help me. 1 second here. What am I doing? I'm trying to remember what I'm doing. Oh, 1 second. Okay, did anyone decipher this? Note. This thing's in my way. NB Note Benet. Sunny. Take notice. Never heard of that. Note Benet. Note. Janie and Ron had 3 calls on record. Yeah, you talking about on the phone? Talking about on the phone, like when they showed it on their, yeah, you're talking about like in that interview when she showed her phone. Now she hides one of them. The first call about 6:20 a.m. I have to go back and take a look at that picture. Because I know that I have to go back and take a look at that. I think that's what you're talking about. And like I said, I'm not sure that you meant to hit that twice there, Roseanne. Check in case you got charged twice for the stupid. Well, yeah, I'm not sure if she did it by accident because I've never seen it where YouTube has done it. Whenever I hear Culture Club, oh, Karma Chameleon, I think I really hope something actually happens at the next court update. It keeps getting pushed. Yeah, I guess NB stands for note. Take note. Thanks, Roseanne. See, Ben. Yeah. Sorry, Ben. Too busy saving up for the road trip fund. Our marriage fund for online is just gonna have to wait. It's more important. Okay, what else? What else? I don't know. I really, let's watch a little bit of this one from Justin from the other day. Pretty sure this was like that private conversation, I think. Yeah, something like that. It's like a French thing or something. I don't know. I never heard of it before. Want to hear? I have this still up. I just wanted to. I kind of think that this is a conversation that Charmaine had with Daniel, and it was a private conversation, and that's why it wasn't. Because normally he always shares, right? Like with who it's from, but pretty sure that that's where this one's from. Okay. I'm just going to play this from here.
Okay, I'm so glad this is out because Mr. Luke from, I guess, the RCMP, Daniel thinks he's a complete effing joke. And I'm here to take up for the RCMP. Daniel, you couldn't shine their shoes, sir.
Ben, who got that?
They do more in one day than you did in your entire life.
And Mountain got that, Ben.
So you're calling someone an effing joke, trying to like search for your stepchildren who you say you love and adore, because apparently they, like pretty much the rest of the planet, don't believe you're lying sorry sack of ass, and you don't like anybody that doesn't believe your delusions of grandeur. You don't. Couldn't shine their shoes, sir. They do more in one day than you did in your entire life. Okay, so you're calling someone an effing joke, trying to like search for your stepchildren who you say you love and adore, because apparently they, like pretty much the rest of the planet, don't believe you're lying sorry sack of ass, and you don't like anybody that doesn't believe your delusions of grandeur. You don't.
Supposed to be the best in North America, and that Luke guy was a fucking absolute joke. And there was some funny stuff I left out that happened with him.
Why don't you tell us, Mr. Martell? Why don't you tell us? There was some funny stuff that I left out about him. Or is it, Daniel, you don't like him because he read you for filth? Is that what it is? That he knew about the planting the blanket, about the car going in and out of the driveway, your every text message, all of that. Is that what it was? That he was looking at that stove in your home pretty close? Thank you, Kim.
I think that's probably some of the most ridiculous shit. Like, this is again where I think Daniel is delusional on this stuff, because it's just so wackadoodle when he literally thinks that this police officer, this sergeant with a cadaver dog, kind of like only watched him one time on the news type of thing. Yeah, playing you for a fiddle, right? But Daniel doesn't see it that way, though. Daniel sees it as that this guy's so stupid. He's literally talking about a fireplace as if, like what's that over there? You know, a fire that holds wood, you know? I just honestly, I can't believe how many times Daniel's tried to always make himself look like the better person and tried to make us believe stuff. Again, for him and Janie, it's always about the perception of themselves and what, you know. Thanks, Julie. Thank you, guys. I'm just gonna be like you, Julie.
Thank you.
I'm just like your emoticon, your avatar. Oh, gotta have the smile. Thank you, Julie. I think, like I said, when you think about all the things that Daniel has said and Janie, it's just really about a big self. Well, it's really about themselves a lot, isn't it? Kind of like Janie's interview. You want to know what happened? Janie, they already told you they're not buying your shit. There she is. Never gonna run around. There's my little sticker there. Cheryl. That's ShareCare. She's the one that used your own money to purchase these things and send them. Right? Jack and Lily stickers, stuff like that. Anyways, thanks again, Cheryl. I love them. I was thinking about them this morning. My fave. Right there. Yeah, I love Cheryl. She's just, like I said, does amazing stuff for Jack and Lily's case. But it's just that in what normal world does, honestly, first of all, does a stepfather be the main person of a missing persons case and spend so much time online, in Facebook groups, in true crime community, you know, trying to advocate about Jack and Lily? It's not normal, okay? Tell me a case besides the wackos from Summer Wells, you know, Dawn and Candace. In what world does that usually happen? That during a missing person case, that a person spends months after months after months watching over Facebook and the true crime. I'll tell you what. Because you know that they're not in the woods, so you don't even care. Malaya's not searching because you guys already know the truth, in my opinion, right? Why put effort into something? Now, to me, does Daniel want to see what other people are saying about him? You know, what are we getting it right? You know, meanwhile, I feel like Daniel's probably laughing his ass off at a lot of the shit that people are saying because he knows it's not true. And then the other part, he's probably going, yeah, that person called it, but he's not going to admit it. It's not normal. It's just not normal. It's not normal for somebody to gloat about all the efforts that they're putting in for a missing persons case, as if that they deserve some sort of award for all the yelling, the traipsing through the water, being faster than helicopters, probably the same helicopters that are looking for him when he's out of service to make sure that he's protected. It's just that just to me reminds me of you're just stupid as shit to actually buy into that. And I'm laughing somewhat, in a sense, inside, because we all know what they're doing, right? Like, Daniel's not outsmarting them. You know, sure, maybe at this point in time, you know, there's just not enough evidence. It's not to me because they're smart. It's just because of the geography. Digital. They both let us know that they've kept their phones on inside the trailer before the police got there. Well, we know that wasn't true, don't we, Janie? Because you had a 1019 phone call, FaceTime, right? But the police didn't come till 1027. So either your memory's foggy, like most of yours all. Yeah, it's just so hard. It's so hard because all of those things, whether it's Daniel and Janie protecting their images versus truly caring about Jack and Lily, it's all just a front to me. It's all just a BS cover-up front, in my opinion. And everything has signs of showing that. Like, I mean, what can't we talk about that literally takes us to what's abnormal versus normal? Pretty much everything about this case, in the sense of what's happening, not necessarily the truth. The truth is going to be pretty normal to any other case that gets solved out of there. But what's going on is abnormal to what we're watching and what we're witnessing happen by the mother, the stepfather, you know, the actions, the memory loss, the timeline that blows ass. No. Sunny, do you know anything about the missing doll that belonged to Lily? What were your thoughts on that? I don't know much about it. No, I know very little about that. It was more the fact of that I don't think that, say, Daniel or Malaya supposedly knows where a doll is, but yet there's no proof to say that it went missing with Lily, you know, type of idea either. That's pretty much the gist of all that, right? Is that, you know how obviously if kids had toys and blah, 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 and one's claiming that they haven't seen it, say Malaya's claiming that it wasn't with Lily's stuff, and yet it could literally be in the trailer for all we know still. So stuff like that, I don't put much weight into it. Bottom line is whether Lily had the doll or not. The two children are missing, and she had a backpack, supposedly. Nah, come on now. They didn't have a backpack. Maybe that's what the police were referring to with the fireplace. You burn anything up in there, Daniel? Did you happen to put some items in there like a backpack or anything? Well, that would stink to shit if it was plastic. I'll tell you that much. Hi, you guys, I'm really hot right now. I'm going to get going, I think. I think it's time to get going today. Over the next few days, I want to go back to some old history as well. Find any comments or things, that maybe haven't been talked about for a while, or to show stuff. Today was really mostly a little bit was about the whole Darren shenanigans and conversation, what shenanigans had said. So again, if I was sticking up for somebody and advocating for them, I definitely wouldn't be sitting there saying, well, I don't know if Malay is being truthful or not. I wasn't there. Certainly wouldn't say that. The one I answered, Ben? Is that the one I answered? No, that was Susanna. Sonny, what are your thoughts on Daniel? Oh, talking to you for like 9 hours. That was next level. First of all, you guys know I can talk. Daniel, I wasn't expecting him to stay on the 9-hour live, like that long. I mean, I really feel like Daniel could have gone longer, and I could have gone longer if I didn't have to work so early. Love you, Belinda. And thank you to everyone for the live. Truth for and justice for Jack and Lily. Everyone say share cares. There's a lot of Cheryls. Telling you.
Extra Care Super Chat. 13 Canadian dollars and 99 cents. You're awesome. Thank you. Cheers, Sunny. Thanks for all you do. Hugging face emoji. Cross mark emoji. Circle emoji.
Thank you, Cheryl. So many Cheryls. You guys, that's a very common name, isn't it? We gotta give you guys some new names. How about Karen? Start calling you Karen, Cheryl. No, at least you have share cares on that. But yeah, there's a lot of Cheryl names for sure. Obviously that was meant for me, wasn't it, Ben? Yeah, just say it. I feel like you're like Helicopter Mama when she's giving a membership away throughout the lives. Trying to split it up. You're trying to be different, aren't you, Ben? Dawn. You got that one. Dawn. I'm not even sure how to say that. Dawn TSA Mantina. I don't know. How about we just stick with Dawn? Desert you. He's sucking up. Of course. That's what men are good for. We're good for sucking, and men are good for sucking up. Yeah, you got that one. Thanks to Ben. Ben. Oh, yeah, back to that. Oh, by the way, my window is like right here. So if I look white as a ghost and stuff, it's because my window is right here, right? And when I turned the blinds down, half of me was like dark and the other half looked weird. So I just put it back up. Belinda, Cheryl, thank you for all you're doing, spreading the love and awareness. You even got a last name mentioned, Cheryl. You are welcome. Okay, back to the 9-hour live. Sunny cheated on me for 9 nights. Yeah, right? That's what happens when you're working, Ben. If my real husband's working, well, no, my real husband's gaming. Let's get real. Okay, Ben's working. What's a lonely woman supposed to do? Obviously. I mean, if it's not Malaya he's cheating on, obviously. I just kind of feel the same thing. I'm just obviously the hoe of Langley here is what I am. Let's see, Susanna. Whoa. I'm going. Don't you worry about it, Suzanne. But I got to go back to the 9-hour live. So it was just simply that I was going to let him talk as long as he wanted to talk. And if that happened to be 9 hours, so be it. Right? Lots of people, regardless, whether you're listening to Daniel for inconsistencies or because you believe him or whatever the reason may be, right? I was just going to let him talk. And I was going to ask him a few different things. It wasn't like it was planned. So it's not like I really sat there and went, oh, well, let me just go over this inconsistency and that. I did a few, but it was like, there's nothing new. Unless Daniel and Malaya go, you know what? Let's go on Sunny's live and let's just confess to everything. That's not going to happen, probably. So it just becomes, if he wants to talk, don't stop people from talking. Unless, I mean, certain people, I'll say, yeah, kind of like Darren, for instance. There's no use for, what's up? Like, Darren can go on his mission and do whatever, but I personally, don't have any use for what he has to say. Right? Because to me, the whole thing he's trying to lay down, I'm just not into it and I'm not buying it. Kent, having a conversation with Kent at least is, level-headed and you can discuss things, and properly, even if we don't agree on necessarily what happened with Jack and Lily. Darren's just he just flip-flops like a fish. He doesn't know which end of his butt is up, to be honest with you, with Jack and Lily's case. Yeah. I mean, but hey, if he wants to live in his world of thinking that he's close to solving the, Cadbury secret inside the Easter cream egg, then so be it. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I had the time. Besides, I finally had to get going to work. I'm sure that Daniel literally would have stayed on there for a couple more hours for sure, But I just, like, at the end of the day, still, I just wish to be fair to guests, right? I don't give a shit if it's, Janie, Darren, say Jordan Geddes or a Chance Lays or even a Malaya and whatever like that. Always, I want to be respectful to the guests, when they're on a live. Like, I'm not going to chop them to pieces and stuff. I'll question certain things, but I'm not going to sit there and slay them. How are you going to get people to open up by doing that? But when I am done with somebody, I'm usually just done with them, right? Like, yeah, I could probably ask Malaya a ton of questions, but am I going to believe it? Mostly no, because the damage is already done for what they've shown and what they say and don't do and stuff like that. I'm just, like I said, at the point of this case that just waiting for the answers for Jack and Lily, talking about them, getting pissed off with you guys because we want answers. You want truth. Trying to talk about the inconsistencies, but that part to me is like beating a dead horse over and over again. That one, either you believe in their timeline or you don't. Either you believe that they're innocent or you don't. I don't think that there's no middle ground there, really. It's either they did something to the children or they 100% didn't. But everything's not pointing that they didn't based on everything we've seen. So, which is it normal that this is the likely outcome. Yeah, sadly. I'm going to put them back up for a second. No, I know some people were worried about that, but no. I mean, did I listen to some of the things, of course, Daniel's saying, and then I put a little bit of thought into certain things, right? The only thing I would ever think about was who's the one that actually did the dirty deed to the children. Was it Daniel or was it Malaya? And I try to look at, okay, how could Daniel have done this without Malaya knowing? Right? And how could Malaya have done this without Daniel knowing? And according to their own crap timeline, I can't. The two to me are brought together. But, it's not like I don't listen and think about other things. Of course I would be just, a bold-faced idiot if I just literally just stuck to just the one thing without thinking about anything else. Nope. Yeah, interview queen. Yeah, like I said, obviously Daniel wanted to say stuff, and I still think that it's only fair, right? Meaning, I didn't expect him to come up and talk, and then I thought about it, and I was like, whatever, right? Yeah, I was pissed off with all the games and stuff like that, at the start of the case, but after a while, it's like, hey, Daniel, you know what? He talked on Charmaine's. It didn't shock me when he said he could come up. I don't know with Daniel if I'm for some reason one of the people that he is trying to convince, to get him on more his side. I'm just not on either side. I'm just on the side of doesn't matter what Malaya says and it doesn't matter what Daniel says. If it doesn't equate and it doesn't make sense and stories change, all we care about out of all of it is not that. It's the answers for Jack and Lily. So if Daniel wanted to talk for 9 hours, Malaya wants to talk for 9 hours. I could probably make her talk at least for a couple if I had her, to be honest. Even though she's more of an introvert, whereas Daniel's not. Daniel's more of the extrovert. But I appreciate the words. Well, that's where my mindset is. Thank you, NS, for subscribing. I know you have to subscribe in order to be able to talk in here. Yeah, well, unless it gets delayed again. That's July 7th, I believe. It was a Ling Love. I would have stayed up. Tom Lou. Nice typos. It was a Ling Love. I would have stayed up. Long live. Somebody's tired. Yeah, If you're watching on replay, please leave a comment under the video. It helps the channel. There you go, Ben. Good moderator, you. Never seen a more creepy mother just move on like it's a new beginning. Yep. Well, again, right? I'm pretty sure, to me, this is, if it's, what we all believe, it's going to be that both of them knew. Let's just go back to Elvin and Wayne McKenzie. Talking about blowing up in your face, Daniel, that your own two uncles basically called you a piece of shit. And that's what we've heard for a long time from your neighbors and different people. Now, but these are your uncles. These are those uncles that you said, like, oh yeah, my uncles are awesome and great. And okay, they see right through you. Especially when they don't know they're being recorded and stuff. And then people say the truth, right? The truth will set you free. And then you go over and think about what Wade said, right? They're all guilty. They fucking got them buried over, blah, 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 blah. You think of all those different things. Sorry, Brandon. I do not believe at all you saw Emily and Hayden that morning. It absolutely makes zero sense. Like zero. You might have saw people, but I don't believe you saw those people. I don't even know who you are, but I'm not buying it because it's so ridiculous to think that Malaya would have to go plant a blanket and go to the extremes for two children that aren't your children. And it's beyond ridiculous. And to think that all family members are like, yeah, let's go hide Jack and Lily. Woohoo, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's get some money for them. Let's just pack those little fuckers off and send them off, up to Timbuktu over there. No, that's not what happened. Even the RCMP, right? This isn't, yeah, they were having money issues and blah, 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 blah. Nah, this is something that happened Thursday that went into Friday to me. And then we're being led to believe that these children were alive at 8:20, 8 o'clock, that they were last heard and seen. No. Just no. Okay, but yet someone's up all night doing drugs and, it would be it's really sad. Because it's really sad that the end goal of all this is to find answers for Jack and Lily. And the truth is that Jack and Lily are probably no longer with us. And that sucks beyond belief for these children. And here we are wishing that, these 2 people, 3 people on the property would just tell the truth. But that's not going to happen. It just really sucks. It's the fact of talking about a case, talking about Daniel, Malaya, yeah, you bunch of fuck ups, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it just hits you like it did me again that, wait, it's still 2 children that are missing we're talking about, fuck them, people. Amen to the RCMP and the Major Crimes Unit for working hard on this case. Even if they did have some mess ups in the beginning, whatever, right? I mean, they're not working on this case. They're extremely still working on this case to solve it for Jack and Lily. And we have to deal with the shit show of these people. Yeah. Well, that's just it, honestly. It's all about, if you're telling the truth remains the same. If you're not telling the truth, obviously it changes. It changes and folding. A mother carries 2 children in a womb. Isn't it so crazy too? I know I got to get going here. But Lily looks so much like Malaya. Little Jackie boy there looks so much like his dad, Belinda's son. And I'm looking at, both these children who one looks the epitome of her mother and the other one, like I said, looks the epitome of his dad. How could anyone harm children? I know we don't know what happened, but come on. Realistically, people aren't stupid. Yeah, well, that's how I see it. He said helicopters were watching and protecting him. Who protected Jack and Lily? Right. Okay, my ass is getting sore. I've been up since 4:30 this morning for work. I went to bed at like 1:30. 1:30. No, 1. So I'm going to go eat the rest of my pizza. And I'm going to go get something really cold to drink because it's so hot. They're all just making it harder on themselves in the end. The longer they hold out, the harsher the punishment will be. The ball is in. That's how I see it. Hi, pretty birdies. Birds and us. Pretty birds and us. RCMP are arresting people every day in Pictou County for drugs and weapons. Yeah. You know, I know that in Shenanigans Live, she was reading this article about someone named Matt, and the other two were brothers named Greencorn. I know that name Greencorn because on Daniel's Facebook friends, I think his name was Anthony Greencorn. I want to say his name is on his friends. And that Andrew Greencorn, that obviously was part of these drugs getting busted and shit like that. Like, meaning the other names were different. Because the name on Daniel's Facebook, I remember the last name was Greencorn, and I'm pretty sure the first name was Anthony. But they're all fucking related. But, well, the one thing that bugged me about this Anthony Greencorn was that, you know, when a dude is on every, like, it didn't matter if you went to Chance's Facebook or Jordan's Facebook, this guy's name is everywhere. Everybody freaking knows Anthony Greencorn, apparently. It's like he's, like I said, that person that's just attached to all the, probably the druggies and all that stuff. And, you know. Anyways, you guys, okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me just quickly go over these. Pinky became a YouTube member. Cheryl, thank you so much for the super sticker. Look at it, told you, there's so many Cheryls. Pinky, $27.99 super chat. Sammy, 99-cent super sticker. Native Girl, talks crime. 1969. I was going to say all of it, then I wasn't going to say all of it. Then I was going to say all of it, then okay. $4.99. Roseanne, she double dipped. Both of these two look the same, but they're not. But they are. Ben, husband. One membership. Julie Wishes, thank you for the $2 super sticker. Share Cares, member for 6 months. That's one that sent me those beautiful pens and stickers. Share Cares, $13.99. Super sticker. Ben gifted a membership again. And you're pulling out all the stops, aren't you? And then what's up? Has been a member for 2 months. Oh, the one thing I was going to say before when we were watching a little bit of Justin, and I can't remember who quite said it in chat, is I remember watching Justin one day, and he goes, you know, the one thing I like about Sunny is she just has no filter or something like that. He said, well, that's what I like, you know, about Justin. He does it in his way as well. It's like he really just doesn't sugarcoat. And I don't either. You know, he does it in his way. Ben, stop. It's like it doesn't, like, you know, it's like you want it to roll off the tongue. Native Girl talks crime 969, but then it just doesn't. And then it just stops at Native Girl because then the tongue gets twisted a little. Ben. Okay, let's see who got that one before we go. Sharon 666. Oh. Yeah, I just couldn't have a filter. I wasn't built that way. I wasn't built in a box or to talk a certain way. Maybe sometimes I've said to myself, I wish. And then I go, but it's just not me, right? I always live my life just being who I am. You know, fuck whatever other people think about that, you know, because I just feel like everyone, well, I mean, if you're a total dick or something, you should probably become a better person, you know, or pathological liar, Daniel, become a better person. But I just think that if you're a decent person, you know, just always speak your truth. Sharon. It was the wrong Sharon. The other one had evil 666. One for the road, Sonny. One for the, what is it? What's that song? One for the money, two for the road, three to, yeah, something like that. Anyways, I'm hot, guys. I'm sorry. You know, it's my own darn fault because I ended up turning off my air conditioner. What the heck was I thinking? It's like a Pretty Woman thing. Let it blow. Oh, it feels so good. I'm gonna go have a popsicle. That's what I'm gonna go do. Yeah, throw one of those down my throat. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for being here and everything. I'm not sure that I don't know that I'll do a live tomorrow. Maybe the next day after that. We'll see. YOLO, right, guys? Okay, so Jack and Lily, I'm just gonna end the live now. But prayers for Jack and Lily. Please hit the like and the share for Jack. There you go, right there. Put your DNA on it. And I'm going to go check and see what's up with the Nancy Guthrie case going on. Apparently, they got a tip where they're looking for her in Mexico. That would be another nice case to see some closure to. Okay, guys. You guys have a great night. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye, guys. Boom, 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 boom. Do, do.